Welcome to Cheery Conversations. I'm with my friend and co-worker, co-pastor, co-everything in life. I don't need cue cards for you. I know you're married to Ruben. I know you have 3 kids, and your daughter just went to college.
She did. We dropped her off, and we're trusting her, and we're trusting the world, which I don't like at all.
It's strange. And so the holidays are going to look different. We're going to talk about the holidays, the holiday stress, because life has been stressful for months. I mean, we're going to be close to a year soon, and it's just not been normal. And so we're going to talk about holiday stress because it kind of is added to the stress of our life, and because you are the co-founder, the author, writer of Journey to Wholeness, which it is the program that saved Sean and I's marriage, and I mean saved us as parents. I mean, we wouldn't be the parents we are, the people we are without it, and so many people are being changed by Journey to Wholeness. You talk about stress in that. That's part of the process of going through Journey. But talk about holiday stress. You just said there's 3 things. Pre-show, you said there's 3 things. Can you remember those? You rattled them off like
Probably
they were.
Ask me to say it again, I never can. So just record me or write really fast. Well, there are 3 things. So we try to fit into our schedule things that we normally wouldn't. Then we have comparison factor. If you're on social media at all, you're looking at all the Pinterest boards and all of the decorations, and suddenly you feel compelled to actually match that expectation that you never had and never do have for anything else in your life. And then you have the family dynamics. And if you don't spend lots of time with your family during the year, suddenly you squeeze that into about 6 weeks where you're spending tons of time. And add that to the stress that we've encountered with all the change that we've had to face. Everyone is at a high stress level. And so we just want to prepare you for the holidays, because in as much as we can face stress in the holidays when things are normal, now we have new challenges and we have new dynamics and we have added pressures that maybe will play into these holidays as well. And so we just want you to be prepared, because your holidays can be fantastic if you have a plan and if you know that you may be triggered by certain things. There are certain things that have happened to you. And so let me prepare myself so that this can actually be a great holiday time. Spending time with family, all of these festivities are going to be great. I saw something recently that said, you want to put up your tree right now? Hey, it's 2020. Go ahead and do it. If that makes you happy, do that. And I thought, why not? Like the kids are telling us to turn on the lights and we're like, why not? Right? Whatever makes us happy right now, we have to chase after that. But you can be happy over the holidays. It doesn't have to be stressful, but know that we are just at a high stress meter right now. And so what can you do to lower that stress now so that you can enter into the season and really enjoy it, maybe for the first time ever?
Yeah. Well, in expectations, I think back to when my kids were little, and one of the keys to like preparing them for the restaurant. I learned this from someone, and it was brilliant advice, that if I'm preparing my kids for the restaurant, that I need them to stay in their high chair, or I need them to stay in the booth. They need to know we're going to be there with people talking for a long time. When I gave a pep talk and an expectation ahead of time, even like it's going to be a long time, and when you get sick of it, you can play with your toys. There was a preparation for them, and the expectation wasn't we're going into this theme park and we're going to run around. It was, let's prepare ourselves. It's not going to be what you guys really want to do right now. Huge difference than just throwing them in. And really, because we know we're in a stressful time before the holidays hit, and then holidays, because people are like, how are we going to afford getting our parents something? Or we can afford it, but what do we get them? And then they always get mad when we weren't thoughtful, or I just want to get gift cards for everybody. That's a stressor for me. I want to just give gift cards, because to me, give me a gift card, I'll go shopping. I love shopping. But some people, that's offensive. Like, oh, you didn't think about me? Like, you gave me money, you threw some money at me? So then I'm stressed thinking there's gift people and I'm offending them. But I'm giving them what I'd want. And just that, you don't even realize how much turmoil that creates. And then I think it's not about the gifts. And so I frankly, half the time, don't want to even shop for our kids, because I'm like, what's it matter? So Sean takes that on. So the expectation of, guys, this is going to be a rough one. Maybe let's sit down as a family or as a couple. And let's talk about, things aren't normal, so how are we going to do this? Because it's not going to be a normal Christmas. It's not going to be a normal Thanksgiving.
In Journey to Wholeness, we talk about you don't go on a journey without planning out where you're going to go. Because if you do that, you're going to find either you're going in circles or you're fighting really fast because someone took a wrong turn and you didn't end up where you thought you were going to go. And so you have to set a vision. And Ruben and I did this really early on because we waited a little bit to have kids, and we observed all of our friends having kids, and we saw how hectic it would get, where you'd have to go to one family and then another family, and then who's Christmas and their Christmas and then our Christmas and gift getting, and we thought we don't want to do that. We wanted to set a standard for our home, so we really envisioned what does that look like, and we got down to the minute details. How does Thanksgiving look, and how does Thanksgiving Day look for us, and how does the Friday after Thanksgiving look for us, right? Because there were some traditions and practices that our family engaged in. They were like, you know what, maybe that's not for us. And since we're a married couple and this is our family that we're building right now, let's actually make a plan and decide that for ourselves.
And to be clear, you probably didn't make that plan the night before you were supposed to be in Milwaukee with family.
No, remember, this was us looking at our friends with their kids going, when we have children, what's our plan going to be? And quite honestly, we talked about it and then we forgot about it. And so then when our kids were small, we had a Christmas or two where we were running around and we thought, wait a second, didn't we talk about this? And so sometimes you have to remind yourself. And we said, what do we want that to look like? What does Christmas Eve look like? What does Christmas Day look like? And we really set that and stuck to it. Was it convenient for everybody? No. Was there a learning process? Yes. Right? But once we communicated that, and once we put in practice, and once we stuck to those boundaries, then it became the norm for our family.
Well, and also, it's kind of like marriage, excuse me, it's like marriage and fighting.
Yeah.
You are not going to probably get to a great conclusion in the midst of a fight or, the very next hour. If you cool off and then you're like, okay, let's set some new standards, maybe some fight rules, but also just let's talk about this when we're both peaceful. If we wait to tell our family we're not coming for Thanksgiving till the week before, it's not only that they're going to not take it well, but you actually didn't think about their planning, because in their mind this is, well, I already bought the turkey. But what we do is we're like, oh gosh, put it off. One, we don't want confrontation, so we put it off, and it ends up blowing up in our face. But if I told my family 6 months ahead or a year ahead that starting when our kids are born or when they're 1 and 2 years old, we're going to do Thanksgiving here. You're welcome to come or not, but we're doing Thanksgiving here. We're doing Christmas. And if that's 6 months or more ahead, and this is ongoing, they're not going to like it. We get it. But it's not in the midst of that fight, just like in marriage.
It's in conversation, and it's ahead of time, and it's year to year. So even though we have these practices, we come back to them. So right about now, when we start seeing pumpkins, we start having conversations about Thanksgiving and Christmas and what that looks like, and how does your schedule look, and what can we fit in? Because it doesn't have to happen on a certain day, and that's the first lesson we have to learn. But we really had to learn to not only make that decision for ourselves and envision it, because when we envisioned it, then we saw something different that we were really aspiring to and that we craved and wanted, right? And then that took time to develop that. Our goal for our house was simplicity during the holidays, right? Jesus, and we took our cue from Jesus and him being born in a manger. When you think about a baby being born, you don't bust in and go, hey, you go, is the baby asleep?
Oh, that's good.
Right? And so you think about the snow coming and that blanketing and that quietness that comes with Christmas. We wanted to preserve that. We wanted to model after that. And so everything that we did and everything we cited was to simplify. So we put into some really practical practices that helped us to control ourselves, because again, we're so susceptible to the Pinterest and to the social media, and you get caught up in the excitement, and you have a little bit of FOMO. You don't want to miss out on anything.
And you said earlier comparison. That you see what others are building and buying and preparing.
So we early on set a 3 gift rule for ourselves. No one was going to get more than 3 gifts in our household, because we had been witness to mountains of gifts and the stress of that.
And then credit card debt, and then anger.
Yes, and in January you have a big hangover from all of the things that you engaged in 5 to 6 weeks that you're trying to recover from over time, and we just didn't want it to bring on stress and anxiety. We really wanted to enjoy the holiday season, and so that again came from planning ahead of time, making a vision for our family and how we wanted that to look, what we wanted to remember, what memories we wanted our kids to have. And so with our determining this is how it's going to look. Now came the actual planning. So actually taking out your calendar and saying, okay, here's the blocks of time that I'm going to reserve for that quiet, and scheduling that in every week. So for quiet for our family meant Polar Express night, and where we had chocolate and marshmallows and watched a movie together and snuggled under the blankets. It meant another time we were talking about generosity with our kids by the fire, and we were just doing quiet things. It was a game night. It doesn't have to be complicated, right? They sound like, oh, you planned it out. No way. We looked for the leftover Nesquik from the year before, and we mixed it up, and we just told our kids they could be in your pajamas, and we were going to spend time together, because they are our priority during the holidays. And too often we can drag our kids along and teach them how to be anxious and stressed out during the holidays.
Well, and when we say the holidays, we know we're encompassing Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. It's like this big time frame, and really what we picture is leading up to it. It's the go to the mall, it's go to shopping, it's extended hours, which hours were cut back in the pandemic. Now, usually it's extended hours, and it's all about, am I getting it on time?
Right.
And it's all of that. That's what's considered the holidays. I love what you just brought out. Extend the holidays by you're doing things as a family, not just on the day. I know of a family, and it's close to me, I won't name names, but where the holidays, yes, was a lot of action and going and moving and buying stuff and prepping and all that. That was the stressful part. And then all of the energy was like this one Christmas day where if anything didn't go perfect, because we've spent 6 weeks of stressing and spending money, if this one day wasn't all we envisioned, kind of like, it's like a wedding day. Right. And people have said, most people say, yes, it was magical, but it didn't go perfect.
Right, it was done
in
put all 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's like, that's it.
And
it. So there are a lot of people, they get not just a Christmas hangover, they get depressed. They get, it's like postpartum for Christmas, because it's like, that wasn't what I expected, and it's a letdown. Or the 17 gifts instead of 3. We used to have our kids open them, and then we would look at our 2-year-old and be like, they aren't as excited as we thought. And then we're suddenly letting gloom come in. But we built it up that it was all about Christmas Day.
Right.
No, first of all, it's all about Jesus, and we need to teach that. But then if it's all about family, I love how you spread that out. The other thing that you said I want to point out is that you modeled. So yes, you modeled that for your kids. They're gonna think more deeply when they have standards for their family. But you modeled this to your extended family. It probably made them go, well, that's not how we've done it. Right. But I wonder how many in-laws and cousins started to go, oh, you let me know 6 months ahead, we're not gonna exchange gifts this year, we can save our money, because that's what we're modeling. And everybody else can follow suit. And like, we used to buy for uncles, aunts, cousins, my brother, and I'm like, we're adults. We don't need to even draw names.
It really is taking that broader view of what gifts are. Our time is a gift. Our presence is a gift. For me, preparing a meal and experience and having people at my table is a gift. And when we acknowledge that, then the pressure comes off for trying to meet expectations or spend money or invest in things that really, like, you've purchase something and you're like, it's in the middle of the aisle, no one ever buys this stuff, and it's quirky, but you get it, and then what do you do, right? Now it's in your garage sale the next summer. So instead of that, can we invest in things, in time and experiences that we can spread out a little more and enjoy, and have those conversations early? Just like you said, it was a relief, I think, to all of our extended family when we said to the siblings, hey, we're just not going to do the gift exchange. Everyone take care of your own kids, and then we'll get together and have a great old time. And our family loves food, and so spend money on a special dish that you like to make that everyone can enjoy, and let's spend time together. And the stress factor really came down because, again, we had laid it all out, and then we had made certain rules. No more than one holiday event a day. How many people go from event to event to event, and you don't actually spend time with the people who are there? You're like, hey, we're just stopping in, we gotta go, and thanks, no, you made that food, I can't have that because I have to eat at 2 other dinners. And so did you really spend any quality time?
Well, and you talked about loving having people around the table. You probably are someone that if you had a certain family crew the first week of December around the table, and you got quality time there, and then the next week you did it.
Full.
Your cup is full. You lead into the holiday, and then it's just your family,
Yes.
your immediate family. Shauna and I started to do Mall of America. We would leave on Christmas Day after the gifts, and we haven't traveled and gone anywhere. It's been us four, no more, for years now, for 7, 8 years now. We love it. And we'll leave on Christmas night, drive to Minneapolis, stay at the Mall of America, and the kids use their gift cards, which they do get a lot of, and they actually like when I give them gift cards. They
And
use their
everything's
gift
half
card.
off,
Everything's
so they can
half
get
off.
more. Yeah.
Yes. And that has become, like, in some ways I go, gosh, talk about raising my children in commercialism. They're going to grow up going, we went to the Mall of America. But it is something that they were at a preteen age and teen age, that when we started that, it's exactly what they'd want to do. They weren't really interested in going and sitting at grandma and grandpa's anymore. They don't play with the toys. They don't get toys. So even maybe some stress could be relieved if we sit with our family and say, okay, you guys aren't 4 and 5 and 6 anymore. You're 16, 17, and 18. Yes, this has always been the tradition, but let's not box in, this is what we do. Yes. You know, that just causes stress to go, what would you guys like to do? And they still want to have Aubrey read the dollar store Christmas story.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really, still? And Isaiah's been fidgety and wanting her to get through it every year we've ever read it. But they don't want to let go of that, but that's up to them.
Yes.
But they do like the Mall of America. And this year I said, I don't know, do we really? And who knows, like, you know, with the pandemic. And they're like, that's what we do.
Yeah.
But that's not what we did when they were 7 or 8. So it's almost also that season. We talk in Journey to Wholeness, seasons, fluidity.
Yeah, it evolves, right? And then, so initially it's you and your husband, and as the kids grow, and now we have conversations with them. Hey, we had this idea. Should we shift this? Should we do this? For them, there are certain traditions that they hold sacred, right?
Yeah.
So like the reading by the fire, we do the same thing where you read the Christmas story by the fire. And if we don't do it, it's like, well, hang on, what happened? If there's not monkey bread on Christmas morning, there's going to be a meltdown, right? There are certain things that we incorporated that there are traditions now, and we hold those. But we also know that they're growing and changing and evolving. Like you said, this Christmas will be different. These holidays will be different. We have one away at college now, and we're adjusting to that. So what do we do now? How do we make that shift? How do we make that change? And then, yes, being flexible, absolutely. And that takes everyone involved. And so communication is key. Planning out ahead of time is key, and laying that out for yourself. And then knowing how stress gets to you. So you need to understand, how do you carry stress? Is it that you start your mind starts racing more? Is it that you get emotional? Maybe you're teary-eyed all the time because maybe you've had a loss, and now you have memories and you get emotional during this time. Maybe you carry all of your stress and anxiety in your body, right?
You're at the chiropractor more.
Yeah.
That'd be me.
Maybe when you're stressed, you kind of wander away from your devotions and your Jesus time and your quiet time. So know what it is that where your stress affects you, so that you can also, when you're doing that planning out, plan times to relieve that stress.
That's good.
So for you, if it's in my body, I get all worked up. Okay, I'm gonna sign up in December for a challenge to do yoga every morning, or I'm gonna go get a massage one time during this time, because
Which
I
is
know
counterintuitive to we wait till January to get the
no way.
healthcare.
Do
It's
it in the middle,
Yeah,
so
I love
that you can actually care for yourself, so that you can enjoy the things that are coming up.
Yeah.
I like to say I have to do my stretches. You get to a certain age and you just say that, right? But maybe you just need to do that stretching so that you can wring out some of the stress that's been building up, so that you can address that. That's not the same for everybody. For some, it's planning coffee with a friend so that I can talk about what's going on, and I know I'm walking into this, hey friend, like, remind me of the things that you know about me and how far I've come, because I need to walk into this situation that hasn't resolved itself yet, and I want to be my best self and love in the best way. And so, just laying it out, right? All of the things that are important to you, start scheduling those, and then acknowledge that you might have some trigger, you have difficult relationships. Take an inventory.
Who doesn't
There's
have
no
family?
judgment, there's no blame, there's no shame. Just take an inventory, because if we walk in and pretend like that doesn't exist, then we're setting ourselves up for failure.
Right.
So we have to understand where we are in our journey, as well as where maybe our family members are in their journey, and then prepare ourselves. am I being my best self? Now, if you haven't taken Journey to Wholeness, I encourage you to do that.
Yes, do
but
it.
if you have taken Journey to Wholeness, take out your workbooks and go through your journals and remind yourself where you've come. Remind yourself of the tools that you decided you were going to implement so that you can engage with your family in the best possible way.
And to let them off the hook. If they haven't journeyed or they haven't done the healing, they're going to respond and react like the 12-year-old they're stuck at as the 3-year-old that can throw a fit in the middle of a holiday.
Your greatest gift to them is grace and compassion.
That you don't have to call that out. They don't know. They haven't had the tools, but you're healed and we always say it, be the bigger person. We've heard everybody's always said that, like, be the bigger person.
Right.
In reality, when you're healed and whole in Journey to Wholeness, you get to be the bigger person in situations like this. Yeah.
You get new eyes. When we can see others like Christ sees them, we don't see them for the faults that are around them that they're not aware of yet. We see them for the potential that's in them. And that's really what we love. You have to focus on the beginning. I always say, go back to the beginning. There was something about that person that you adored at some point in your life. Remember that. Remember that piece when it gets a little difficult. And know that you don't have to engage in anything. If they're worked up about masks or corona or the government or the election or whatever we have at that time, know that you don't have to engage in that, but you can have compassion for the fact that they're having a hard time and they're struggling. You may not want to engage and have a conversation about it, but you can have grace for them. Now, am I saying sit there and take all of it? No, you can also
we all have boundaries and we've learned boundaries.
Yes, and that's the most loving thing you can do, to say, I hear you and I hear you're upset about that, but I've decided I'm not going to engage in that. Let's talk about how you're doing, how are your kids doing. Shift the conversation to something that you can enjoy talking about together, even though, it might have started out on a different strain. So again, if we can remember that we are a gift to each other first and foremost, and that if we can bring our healthiest self in the midst of the busyness.
That's a gift at the holidays, right?
That is a gift, because honestly, I remember when I first, and I don't say it enough, I think you and Pastor Sean say it tons, and I actually started a journey group last night, and I said I was a prickly, difficult to be around person, but I thought it was great. And really, Ruben and I celebrated our 26th anniversary this summer, and it's only because of Journey to Wholeness that we have gotten that far. And in as much as your spouse can be long-suffering and gracious and patient, everyone has their limit. And I don't know how close we were to that limit, but I'm sure it was closer than I thought at the time. And so really, when you bring your best self, whatever level that is, and so I'm not saying you have to be perfect or you have to be healed, but if you're just a step or two ahead of where you were last holidays when you came to the table, everyone notices. I remember the first statement I got from a cousin was, "Why are you so nice now?" That tells you
awesome.
that
that's
I was
awesome.
not.
But there is that option or that temptation to just fall back in line to who was the young Becky, the Becky that grew up here. I know it's easier for me to slide back into who I was, because who I am now is so different that actually feels awkward for me, and I'm like, will it be awkward for them? But you said it early on, model the way. And we're going to end with this. I want to talk about Journey to Wholeness, but because a lot of our listeners and our viewers are women, probably, there's just a couple tools that I think you said and I want to bring out. Is it scheduling in December the things that keep you healthy? It would be that self-care thing. First of all, do Journey to Wholeness. Second of all, have those little tools that bring the best out of you. Like, it's a splurge, but it's not unacceptable to get peppermint flavored bubble bath or a peppermint white chocolate when you never do sugar. Just this little, like, those are okay. Like those are not you're not spiritual enough to just push through. This isn't a pull up your bootstraps. That's not life. Life is what am I needing right now? And ultimately, I want to end with this Journey to Wholeness. Sean and I have said this. We think anyone who's breathing needs Journey to Wholeness, not just anyone who's gone through trauma, because frankly, we all have. We've all gone through trials and trauma and temptations, but everybody needs it.
If anything, 2020 has shown us that life is full of challenges and obstacles and difficulties. And we always have something that we're facing. And to face those without having all the tools in your toolbox that you could possibly have, I don't want to be
starting at a deficit,
at a disadvantage.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
to know that I had something available to me that I could be using to actually overcome and get through and win in this life, I want to have those. And so that's a gift to yourself. If
Yes.
you have not done Journey to Wholeness,
Right? Save
that
the
is
money
a
on the
gift.
Christmas gift to each other, or tell them
Right.
don't pay anything for a gift, or put money towards which it's so reasonable. I mean, what Sean and I paid for
10 times what
the
it
pre-Journey to
costs.
Wholeness before it existed was so much more, and I would pay 10 times more for what we got out of it.
Right.
And it's 10 times less, and it is so valuable. Our biggest cheerleaders for Journey to Wholeness are the people that are currently in it,
Yes.
or who have already taken it. I mean, they're
Right.
like, hold on, people need to do this. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yes,
Yeah.
yes, but a lot of people, until they get to the lowest of lows, and some might be in the holiday season, they
Yeah.
don't reach out. Just like in marriage, so many marriages, they've been suffering for years, but until they're rock bottom,
Right.
until they're at a place where they're like, it's gonna come out, we have a bad marriage, or she's gonna leave me, or he's gonna leave me, now I'll tell somebody I need help. That pride, it's just not worth the fight and the struggle. So thank you. You are the guru of all things Journey to Wholeness and spirit emotion. Amazing. So thanks for helping us,
you.
and thanks for being with us for Cheery Conversations. We will see you next time.